Come on, Soda Pop, let's go.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council.
Evening.
I'm going to mention this $500,000 that was given by the City Council, instigated by the Mayor, I understand, to private tennis court. I don't know how this came about. I mentioned it once before, but I do know that something like this was happening in Illinois when Blagojevich ended up in the pen. And I want you guys to be aware of that. You guys want to follow the Robert's Rules of Order. You don't do it yourselves, so why should we? I hear so much bickering. I was in Aberdeen, was nothing but embarrassed. We were watching a 5-foot TV last week at the council. Everyone, well, there were two mainly that belittled one of your fellow council members. He's one of the most intelligent ones on this board. He served in Pierre. He served here a session before this. He asked some of the most intelligent questions while you people just sit and rubber stamp. And I appreciate you, Mr. Karski, excusing yourself from the early meeting that you had with the ambulance scenario. But I also think that there's a member of the swimming board that needs to excuse herself. And she knows who she is. I don't understand why when the pool for Drake Springs, we were working on that, and we were held to $4.9 million. Now all of a sudden, there's a swimming pool supposedly going to be, I'm not sure it will be, at Spellerberg Park. It starts out at 19.4, then it goes to 19.8 mil. And all of a sudden, they want more money, which we weren't allowed to do at the Drake Springs pool. We were locked in. This wasn't even on the ballot. It was an outdoor pool that we voted, everybody basically voted against. So now you're playing a game with millions of dollars of our money, and I don't think it's funny. We go to this ambulance scenario. Jay Major has put his whole life and blood and soul into his service, and I think it's a dishonor for the way he's being treated. Now you want this new ambulance service to be able to go over to Brandon and take service away from Brandon, where they can compete against him, but he can't compete against the ambulance service that you want in Sioux Falls, and these people are supposed to be from this area, and you're kissing their hind end for some reason. I don't understand why. Thank you.
Mr. Weideman, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Folks, anybody else? Welcome, sir.
Even Mayor, council members. Charlie Roberts, ex-official from the Spellerberg Pool Group. Let's get the point clear right away. Spellerberg people were never against an indoor pool. We just didn't think that was the best location, and we begin to wonder even more as the event center and so on and so forth have transpired, and really we've seen an influx of traffic. But enough. The Sioux Falls Argus Leader recently posted a commentary concerning the planned indoor aquatic center to be located in our neighborhood, Spellerberg Park. There was an effort last year to vote for a properly sized outdoor pool, and though questionable legal or proper means were used by our city administration, it was defeated. Even though our efforts failed, we have not stopped caring about our neighborhood park or the city. The recent press conferences at last week's City Council information meeting and now tonight's item 36 continue to show the arrogance of this administration. Where is the poll showing 70% approval rating? Or are those numbers just taken because 15% of the people voted no to an outdoor pool. It doesn't translate. It seems the park department does not want anyone to be a part of their plan that is not already in the loop. In other words, if you weren't in this group that has actually been involved for the last 3 years, you weren't invited or asked to take part. You had the opportunity, but you weren't asked. This project continues to be a moving target, the indoor pool. Nothing is ever what it seems. The city controlled advocate education programs, which were in possible violation of state law, the way they were ran. They confused the voters with the indoor pool plans, and even now, what we've seen and what we hear compared to what we saw and were told are more confusing. And that has cost us $47,000, and there wasn't even an indoor pool on the ballot. If you remember the ballot, it said nothing about indoor pool, it just said, do you want an outdoor pool? And so, okay, now with your smoke and mirrors seem to have worked. Just like the Drake Springs planning, the neighbors have been pushed aside. So the question is asked, was there actually a representative who was really in close proximity to Spellerberg Park? The indoor pool was to have a total cost of $19.4 million. Once the vote happened, the price jumped to $19.8, and now we're asked to approve $23.7 million. And this is nearly a 20% increase for what? And here I might interject, while we were collecting signatures for petitions, we were telling people it's going to be more, and we were not nicely told we were not telling the truth. But it's gone up, and it's almost to that $25 million mark. The real question is, what is this extra money for? We question the funding because the city has a track record of not telling us anything straight up. In other words, it's going to be, this is what it is, and then it is. But it's always gone a little over. And some of it you can understand, or I can understand. We question the funding because the city has a track record of not telling us anything straight up. City Hall even tells its own legislative body what is going on. When they do, the mayor scolds them for not having their own plan. This pool is not being built with cash. We're using borrowed bond money required to be refinanced or paid back in a couple of years. You know, for these levees preventing the 100-year floods. Number 10 on the mayor's list. The park department is postponing many projects, or at least they say they are, to pay for this additional monies. I guess the parks won't get dumpster fences, which is a city, they're working on a city ordinance that way for the garbage, trash containers and so on to be enclosed, but we're going to do away with that. City streets. If you've driven around any, some of the streets are really great, but a lot more are getting worse. What happens to the tennis courts? You know, we had a really nice national, prominent tennis court facility there at Spellerberg, and if you drive by now, you just see a nice flat ground all the way over. Is it going to be replaced? Is it not going to be replaced? Where's it going there? On the previous drawings showing a 69,000 square foot building, and at that time it promised a therapy pool, a rec pool, and more outlandish promises have been scaled back to 59,000 square feet. I was involved in all of that, and when we would go to the meetings and ask about things, they would say this and this and this and this, and then when we'd come to a meeting, they'd say, oh no, but yet when it was portrayed or brought out, it was in there. And now they're saying yes, but now we're taking them back out of there. A 15% decrease in size with a 20% increase in cost. Okay, here's what we were promised. This is what we said we're going to get. This is what we were shown. This is what we're told we're going to get. And now we're actually going to do this. So, ugh. What happened to the slides, the current pool, the outdoor splash patio? Why don't the restrooms even have toilets? I guess we got outhouses. Apparently outdoor water activities have been eliminated.
Mr. Roberts, you're at 6 minutes, sir.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will say thank you.
Thank you,
And I
Mr.
will let it
Roberts.
go.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
Make it a great night, sir. Folks, is there anybody else who, yes, welcome.
Hi, Jay Major, MedStar Paramedic Ambulance.
Welcome, Jay.
And Mr. Mayor and Christine, I believe you were the two that weren't here for the previous meeting that we had. There was a lot of shots across the bow as I was sitting in the audience here about this ambulance issue. And I'm not going to speak a lot about that, but here's what I want to tell you all so you understand where we're coming from. In the Argus Leader, I read to where your health director kind of thinks she knows why we had protested. And as we stand before you, nobody here knows why we protested because we haven't talked about that yet. Here's what you should know, though. We're following your rules. Your rules are we had to fill out our ambulance application, and a lot of that we didn't really agree with, but we filled it out the way we were supposed to. We handed it in. We met your minimum criteria, and then we met some of your other criteria on your scoring system. From that point, we disagreed. And so part of that disagreement is it goes to the first disagreement panel, which happened to be some of the same people that reviewed our application in the first place. The second was, no matter how the city attorney put it here to the people of Sioux Falls, the second one is a person that the city chose who paid the bill to. I get it. Now there's two other options that we have, actually three. Today there shouldn't be a first reading because your own ordinance says that if we're still protesting this thing, there shouldn't be a first reading on this ambulance ordinance. My attorney's not here, and there's a lot of legal things I'm not going to talk about, but I'm going to say this. I didn't plan on standing up until all the shots across the bow. I was going to listen. The thing is, we're following the rules that this commission, this body, put in front of us for the ambulance ordinance. We disagree with it. We disagree with the way the process was handled. We have our own disagreements. Some of those are legal disagreements, and some are matter-of-fact disagreements, and some are just differences of opinion disagreements. But we have a right to be heard. And I think that the city itself, I think it's beyond yourselves to find, if you now disagree with my disagreements, that you can disagree with your own policies that says I have a right to take it to circuit court, which we did. We have one in circuit court, and next week there's going to be something filed sometime in federal court, because that is a strong disagreement that we have with the city of Sioux Falls and the panel and the recommendations of Jay Fitch. Strong, honest disagreements. Because I promise you this, go to MedStar right now and look at our system, go to Rural Metro, go to AMR, go to Paramedics Plus. If you look at our systems, you will probably find 4 fantastic systems. Okay? There's not one system that's 600 points and one that's 1,500 points. They're all really good systems. The issue is the point system that you made to come up with how you decided to do this. We disagree with that. But we also have some other disagreements that will be in front of you in a short while. I'm here just to tell you, Mr. Mayor, that unlike many, many, many years ago, I'm following your rules. I'm just asking the city that you follow your own rules. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jay. Appreciate that. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome.
Scott Erisman, Sioux Falls.
Welcome, Scott.
I saw something on Friday night that kind of made me chuckle. We talk about how we have to have all these indoor recreational facilities in South Dakota or in Sioux Falls. You know, I've grown up here most of my life. I've done a lot of stuff outside. We used to spend hours outside sledding. And I was driving by the skate park by my house, 8 o'clock on a Friday night, and there were 6 kids out there skateboarding and having a blast. And I thought to myself, I wanted to pull over there and go, why are you kids out here skating on a January night when you could be swimming indoors? Oh, that's right, we don't have an indoor pool yet, but I think it's funny how we talk about how we need all these indoor recreations because there's nothing to do outside in the winter. The kids are getting fat. These kids were not fat. They were skateboarding their heart out. So just want you to know there's lots of activities outside that we can do in the wintertime. We wear a nice coat and hat. I was also reading a story by Steve Young, I don't know if it was Saturday or Sunday paper, about painting dumpsters. I thought that was a fantastic idea. When I was in Fort Collins a couple years ago, they paint all the transformers in town. The local artists paint them, electrical transformers. They also do it in Vegas. It's huge in Vegas. And I thought to myself, instead of having all this fancy fencing and everything, why don't we ask businesses in the city of Sioux Falls to put out RFPs and decorate these dumpsters in art? Why do they have to be red or yellow or green? I mean, it's a pretty simple solution. But let's get to something a little serious. So the people of Sioux Falls voted for snow gates. They went out on a petition drive, they put it on the ballot, and it passed by a lot. I've often told people that snow gates are not a new service. They're taking a service that we already have and making it better, snow removal. The city has to remove the snows from the street. All they're asking is, you remove the snow from the end of my driveway that I don't own, that the city owns. That's all we're asking. It was approved by a large amount. It's a city ordinance. Now, what is a city ordinance? It's a law. Okay, so we are asked by the city to scoop our sidewalks. If we don't, we get fines. We get a contractor to come out and fine us. It was funny, I was walking up here, I saw the guys scooping the sidewalk out here in front. It wasn't even a city employees, it was a private contractor. And I told them, I said, you better hurry up and get that done, you might get a fine. And they all just stared at me. So I guess if the rest of us have to follow city ordinance by keeping our sidewalks clean, why doesn't the city have to follow city ordinance and use the snow gates properly? The last two snowfalls on the other side of my street, the snow gate was used properly and there was very little snow left. And their driveways are longer than mine. On my side of the street, all the way down, piles of snow, like they didn't even use them. The thing is that if they drop them early and pull them up late, they work. I'm sorry. I've watched hundreds of videos of snow gates that were not even superior to the ones we have. And they work if they are used properly. And what are the repercussions for the city if they're not following their own ordinance when they're making the rest of us follow our own ordinance? So I had a friend call me today, we were talking about it, and you know what they said to me? They go, well, we should put numbers on the back of the snow plows, and if you see a snowplow operator not dropping the snow gate properly, you can call in the number on the back of the snowplow, and you know who's not doing it right. I don't understand this where, as citizens, we are obligated to follow an ordinance. But then when the city can't follow an ordinance, they go, we're trying our best. I mean, that's basically what we've been told. You go on the city website today, and that's basically what they told us. We're trying our best. I can't say that if I don't scoop my sidewalk. I can't go out to the contractor and go, I'm trying my best. What I'm saying is if the citizens have to follow these ordinances, the city has to follow these ordinances. Plain and simple. Snow gates are not rocket science. They're pretty easy. I worked on a farm. I worked a lot of hydraulic equipment. It takes practice. I understand that. But this is law now, and we need to use them, and we need to use them properly. Thank you. Come on, Soda Pop, let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on.